Welcome everybody. 29th of April 2024. This is the bi-weekly Model Registry meetings. This meeting is being recorded and this meeting adheres to the CNCF Code of Conduct. I'll just share all the link typically in the minutes of the meetings. So in the chat you will find the minutes of the meeting. Everybody is free to add an agenda item to this meeting as needed. And today I just want to go through a couple of key points as detailed. So if everybody wants to add a meeting points, please feel free to do so. In the meantime, I just wanted to very briefly go through the Google Summer of Code checkpoints, simply because we don't have much update for this bi-weekly call. I just want to remind everybody who's maybe watching this recording, or for everybody connected, we are in this phase. So we will know something more to update eventually in the coming bi-weekly meetings for what concerning Model Registry, and you can expect in the following weeks to receive update for your submission, your proposals, also for the other working group. That said, it's also very important for me to remind you that in the page for the Google Summer of Code, there are, first of all, the point of contact where you can remain connected for more information. That is the Kubeflow Slack for the GSOC participant channel. So this is very important. You can keep updated there for that is coming in. And finally, as well, I just want to remind everybody one thing that will likely become important over the following week is that if you submitted Google Summer of Code, or if you didn't manage to submit one, is not the only way that you can contribute to Kubeflow. And this is valid not only for Model Registry, but also for all the Kubeflow projects. So you can follow on these points if you are interested in the general contribution to Kubeflow. We have, for instance, some contributions recently as well that are related to the Kubeflow, the Google Summer of Code. If you have any question, feel free to raise your hand, ask questions away. Or otherwise, I can take it that we went through the first item in the agenda, and just give a couple of seconds to note if there is any raised hand. Okay, eventually we can circle back later if anybody has some questions or want to add any comments here. I want to progress on the Kubeflow 1.9 readiness checklist. So a reminder for everybody, as requested by the release team, we have a tracker issue where we noticed all the requests that was coming. Also, let's say the tracker issue was recently amended. I think that in times we received some additional items, and I'm keeping track of everything that was done or will need to be done, or things that are stretch goals here, so that eventually, as we get through the gates, we also have a good overview as well for other new components that will be onboarding, so that we have good visibility on all the steps that are needed for Kubeflow in general. More specifically for today's call, I saw that Andrea is connected, so maybe we can go through. There are some guidelines that the release team and the manifest team have shared with us concerning the readiness for the components in the terms of the requirement for the manifest and the checks. And Andrea, please keep me real here. But so far we have basically 3 action items that we've been requested and it's being acted on. The first one here is that there is a Kubeflow Model Registry script that was merged, and this is what is picking up from the Kubeflow Model Registry into the Kubeflow manifest for the manifests that are needed that basically we expose. So this was already done. Kudos to Andrea. For those who have their action items, you can give him an applause. And I think that we went through all of these over the past weeks. Now, a couple of things that are remaining to be done that were just discussed more recently is that, first of all, we will need some additional files in our model registry repo. So these additional files are the owners, so that guarantees that the owner files, as it get copied across from model registry to manifest, contains the owners that we expect when we will be hosted in the manifest repository to be able to do any changes, do any action, and a README file that basically here actually repeats or mimics the installation, but is the README file that will be co-located along with the manifest in the Kubeflow manifest repository. Andrea, have I gone through a good summary of what is needed here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. So Andrea already sent a pull request here for the README file that contains the instruction for the owners file that is needed, as I mentioned just earlier. There are a couple of things that sort of like we would like to just touch point. Maybe we have as well Ricardo here that can have some overlook. One is that currently we don't have any upgrade procedure. So sort of like first for two reasons. First of all, is like it's the first kind of like a release that we are doing, and secondly as well is like say we didn't identify so far any upgrade procedure. Caveat to that as well is that we are in an alpha release stage, so I'm expecting that even if we have say non-backward compatible changes, this is what the alpha release train is for. But to me, what I could tell is that that is needed from the Kubeflow manifest pull request is as much as good as needed. Andrea, I don't know if you had any further questions later on.
One thing that I'd like to add is that actually the upgrade.md file, from what I understood, is not present in any of the other components, because most of them relies on the let's say on the official Kubeflow website for upgrading best practice and process that a user should follow, or they put the same process directly in the README of this repo. So I agree on that. That basically, at the moment, it should be enough what we added so far in the README. So from the installation point of view, and we can iterate further in as soon as we have some upgrade process or whatever, we can simply add a new section in the README if we don't want to create a separate file. And I think it would be enough. Another thing related to the last topic, or well, the last bullet point, which is the testing. I don't know if you want to introduce that, or I can go ahead.
Why don't you go ahead? I think it's like we will be going through the other pull requests.
Yeah, exactly, because actually the Kubeflow manifest guidelines refer to include some, let's say, testing in the manifest repo. But as Ricardo suggested us, the best practice is to create a sort of GitHub action workflow directly in the manifest repo to guarantee that every time a new change is applied in the, let's say, in the model registry manifest repo that is going to be copied in the manifest repo, will trigger some, let's say, ad hoc test to ensure that let's see, the deployment is working correctly. So right now with this PR, I actually copied the same test checks that are right now implemented in the model registry GitHub action test. So I think that at the moment is enough. I don't know if, because right now the only checks are basically checking if the both deployments for the database and the model registry itself are actually running after some amount of time. But there is no actual check on the Istio manifest configuration that we are going to apply. So I don't know if there is something that could be added on top of this, but yeah, let's say this is somehow replicating the actual PR checks that we are using in model registry. So I think it's enough for now.
I agree. One thing that I was thinking as well is like maybe can you add a comment maybe here at the top of the file to say, hey, it's like if you modify something here, please notify the model registry working group because likely this test is also made available on the other side. Could you do that? Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Because it will make sense. So at least we have the same kind of like a sanity checks or anything. Riccardo, do you know more about this kind of test? Do you have any additional suggestion to what Andrea was just speaking to?
I think it looks good. But I would like to defer to Julius, who is the manifest working group lead, to see if there's anything else we need to test in this functional testing. I believe since, like we discussed on release meeting, since this is just alpha release, I think just basic functional testing is enough for that workflow. And I don't believe even if this is a blocker to merge the manifest for Model Registry, but I'll prefer asking the manifest working group lead to ensure that we have the basic testing done.
That makes sense. Are you on the manifest working group, Riccardo? Sorry for the banal question, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
I usually attend all the working group meetings. I believe next Thursday they will have their manifest meeting. Let me confirm.
Yeah, there will be this Thursday.
Awesome. Yeah. Again, I don't believe this is a hard blocker for Model Registry, but I'll wait until the manifest working group meeting to raise that question. If I get a response before that, I'll keep you guys in the loop.
Thank you so much. Okay, cool. And as well, I think that this is what Julius was also mentioning about the network policy, because if I understand correctly, they want to check what they're putting in place for the 1.9. But I understand that this is a test that the manifest working group is planning to execute according to the last community call. Riccardo, do you have the same understanding? Just to cross check.
So my understanding of the network policy is not tied to the manifest working group, but the security working group.
Yeah.
And since manifest by default only cares about the multi-user environment, I believe network policies might impact the model registry deployment. So that's what we need to figure out, if there is anything that could block users in a multi-user installation to access the model registry. I believe this one mostly impacts like integration with notebooks and KServe, not the user directly.
Yeah. Which is in. Thank you for the clarification. Okay. And so let's say where was it? This was the first pull request. I think that we can progress on this one, which is the one that we have in the Kubeflow model registry. And let's say we can eventually sort of like follow up on the other one for the manifest. Andrea, thank you so much for all your contributions so far. Was there anything else? No, you're muted. Was there anything else that you wanted to share?
No, I don't think so. I think it's enough because the last point was related to the network policy, which is, I think, the last bullet point that we should, let's say, define if we need to satisfy or not. But I don't think there is anything else at this point.
All right. So very thank you very much again, and to you and Riccardo for for following up and keep it tabs on this one. Last point here, I've taken notes, I think, from the last Kubeflow community call. So there was some comment from Josh, if we wanted to have something more than the call to action that we have in the documentation for Model Registry. So meaning is like in the current open pull request for the Kubeflow website that will contain the documentation. When we go to Model Registry, we've complied to noting the alpha banner. The alpha binder typically comprises the Kubeflow versioning policy and any sort of like how you call it, call for action is like a thing. So it's mentioned here. For feedback, it just goes to our website where people can eventually raise an issue or find all the other links. It's not only mentioned here, the call to action, but as well as the folks who will run through the getting started tutorial. So these are sort of like where we may find additional people that are sort of like interested in these capabilities. So I'm expecting to find them here because they will follow this tutorial. This was not a request, but this is what I've added again for sort of like capturing call to action for people that are interested to provide the feedback for Model Registry. So that was what was in place. Josh suggested beyond as well, maybe the blogs. We will propose eventually as we approach the alpha release with the within the umbrella of the Kubeflow 1.9. Josh was asking if we wanted to take some do something more. I can definitely sort of like plan to make a video later in June, something like that. That can be more tailored about gathering feedback from the users who are testing out. I wanted to, however, note this in the agenda item to hear if people have additional proposal, they want to take on some volunteering task here, really open flow. Yeah, go ahead, Ramesh.
Hey, Matt, here, it's not necessarily that question, but, what other resources slash guides and, README documents are we doing in the model registry to showcase the usage of it? Like, I know the K-serve usage using in the K-serve, I believe Andrea submitted that PR, and there is a small script how to deploy in there, right? Using the customized storage. I'm not container storage initiative kind of a thing, right? That is one way of doing it. Model con maybe. Are there any other techniques or any other things we are calling out? Because when we are asking for feedback, we have to teach them how they could integrate into their workflow, right? I'm kind of a little maybe I'm trying to see what are all those integration points that we are saying that, hey, here are those, right? And highlighting them to solicit this feedback.
So today is sort of like if we're speaking about the kind of like tutorial like things that we have done. So we have the integration from the notebook, and we have the integration with K-serve. Actually, there are in the tutorial that is on the website is shown how to do it with the K-serve SDK, not using the CSI, because that is more, I would say, an advanced use case. But we have the link to the CSI in our repository. So those are the kind of like the three that are potentially available. Maybe I can make a link in the getting started to give a sort of like a list of all the things that are capable of. Pardon me, I have a problem with my monitor. Another thing that also I was trying to keep tabs on is that some users have proposed for a tutorial using Katib, if I remember correctly. Unfortunately, Andre is not here. But I remember that we discussed on a pull request some potential integration. What I mentioned to them is that as soon as they have sort of like the Katib things fleshed out, then I'm more than happy to keep tabs and contribute to making an integration also over there. Not sure if we need to provide some additional feedback, or sorry, the additional tutorials, I would say.
Right. Yeah, I think I have not seen this page before. So yeah, this is what we can refer to this page when we are asking for feedback. Obviously, in the next version of it, after 1.9, we work towards the Kubeflow pipelines and integration and those kind of things. But
yeah,
I think this is it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but also makes sense that eventually, as because first of all, it's like I would like this pull request for the website to be merged without further changes, because also I have a few couple of I would call it iterations that I would like to perform. So, for instance, one is with Stefano for diagrams that goes more on a high-level point of view of the integration points. There is this one that maybe we can consider Ramesh for having additional tutorials. But for the time being, I think this is the simpler one because we are showing just, I'm creating a model in my Jupyter notebook. Here is how I store it and track it in Model Registry. And then the other way around is like, if I have the model tracked in Model Registry, how do I deploy it with KServe?
Right.
So that's, I think, is the bare minimum.
Right. Okay. As far as this one to be committed, I think do we know whom? Andre, maybe?
No. It's like we kind of good because also I have Albert that already added the look good to me table, and also we were discussing just about this pull request earlier in the release meetings with Ricardo and the team. So this is being sort of like keeping is being how you say tracked.
Okay.
By the release team. So eventually I'm expecting that this one is to be merged. Let's say the only thing that I would like to avoid doing now is to add more content, because I'm afraid that otherwise it keeps a branch that is open forever. I'm more than happy to try to sort of like to parallelize the work of iteration as soon as we got the bare minimum merged. Right. Okay, cool. But in terms of call to actions, because what I'm planning to do is that sort of like I would say 2 weeks from now, I would like to start on drafting some blog post for this because it will actually be requested. So maybe we can have a call to action there in the blog post. We can do anything more. But really just open for feedback here. Maybe if you don't have an idea today, you can take it as a little homework to think if you want something more to be added as how to say promotional content that can bring visibility to Model Registry and to solicit for feedback. All right, cool. Additional aliens content material for promo and yeah, there well, say alpha beyond blog, maybe video, etc. All right. So let's say everybody feel free to consider if anything else. That's all I have. That's all I had on the agenda for today's meeting. Not sure if there is any last minute addition. Ricardo, do you see something more that we missed? And we should talk about it today, but I think that we keep in tracks on everything that the release team and the manifest team has been asking so far. So please let me know if I missed anything.
I think for release scope, we had everything covered.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, I'll just give it 3 seconds to check if there is any raised hand, or otherwise I think that I can give you back 30 minutes and we can talk on Slack. So going once, twice. Have a great evening, everybody, and I will see you at the next one. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.